I'm Twila.
And I'm Natalie.
And this is Twila and Natalie,
where we discuss the joys, the pitfalls of being a grown woman.
I like that.
We're getting good at it, too.
I know. I feel like we're on a roll today.
I know. I'm very excited about today's question.
Yes, indeed. So every time we do one of these lovely podcasts, we ask a question, mostly to answer it for ourselves. But hopefully when we're answering it, we're touching on some sort of universal truth in the answers that we provide.
Mm-hmm.
So today's question, and I will say most of these questions seem to be born lately out of my embarrassment of something. But today's question is, are we secretly damsels in distress?
I will start.
Okay.
For me personally, there is no secret about it. I am a damsel in distress when I want to be.
When you want to be. See, Okay, I'll admit, I don't want to be one, and I pride myself on being this super feminist, very, and mind you, I don't say feminist like it's a dirty word or it's like a kind of thing. I'm a proud, absolute 1,000% feminist. Like, I believe women should have the same rights as men. We should have equal opportunity. We should be equally taking on responsibilities for things. But I'll be perfectly honest, I still get really angry when my husband doesn't open a door for me.
Well, I think falls under, there are manners. In our society, we have agreements, we have social standards.
But
opening a door for a lady,
sexist
but it's
standards.
not. No, I disagree, Twila. I think that opening a door for a woman is not because she's incapable of opening a door. So in that specific example, this is not a damsel in distress. I'm capable, you're capable of opening our own door. It's a sign of respect for a woman. It's a sign of, what's the word that sounds like being revered, right? Is it reverence?
Ooh, yeah, reverent.
It's a sign of being, is it reverence or reverent?
You can say
reverence, of showing reverence.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, for a female and respect. That's how I take it. That's how I believe it was intended to be. And that is different. I think when we talk damsel in distress, what we're asking ourselves is, do we play it up a little bit to get some extra help around the house? Maybe,
No, see, I don't do that. I catch myself getting angry with myself when it's things that I should just be able to handle. And for whatever reason, I've decided in my head, he should handle it. Why would you put me through that? Like, I should never have to kill spiders.
No, but see, there are things that, again, we agree upon in our society that it is more of a male role to protect us from spiders and things that go bump in the night and things like that.
See, no, that's all, this is where I'm completely and utterly a hypocrite, because I'm not about spider. I'm not that girl. I don't live that life. I'm not about like crawly bugs. Please, somebody come get them.
Mm-hmm.
But if something goes bump in the night, in our bedroom, one side of our bed has a baseball bat. It's not my husband's.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time, if there's a situation about to go down, I'm the lead in. Like, I'm the let's go. Like, my husband is fearless, so like, yeah. he's very much a like a walk softly and carry a big stick kind of guy. Like, if you really mess with him, he's in. Yeah. And I'm like backing him up, like, yeah, I got you, baby, let's go. Yeah. But 90% of the time, if a situation arises, he's good at like standing back and waiting to see what happens. And I'm like, oh no, all right. Like, hold my earrings. Like, I'm that girl. So then it makes me even more annoyed when I get myself all turned into knots over things that I think are, and I tend to think there are things that I think are antiquated. Not that they're not nice and they're not mannerly or lovely gestures. I just happen to think they're antiquated. And because I'm such a feminist and I'm trying to teach my son and daughters to be feminists, that I'm trying, like, the equilibrium in our house is just always on.
But at the same time, you have a son, I have sons. There's raising our sons. We raise them with the idea to respect women.
Yeah.
And part of that is opening a door for a woman. I don't believe that to be an antiquated idea. I think it's a perfect way for even a stranger to show respect to another female.
See, I actually taught my kids to open doors for everybody. That was my, no, I really did. Like, yeah. I taught my kids, and like, I taught them, you should open a door. If you're coming out of a door and someone's behind you, you should open the door for that person.
Yes. Sure.
Open the door for an adult, open a door for an older person. Like, I was always trying to sort of like hyper balance it out, because I had caught myself really early on doing things like teaching my son, you don't hit girls, but I didn't teach my girls, you don't hit boys. So then, right. So then we would have like there'd be an altercation in my house, and it's because my daughters are a bunch of bruisers and come in fist first. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And then I realized I had really taught him all of these extra levels of sort of societal, like boys don't do this, especially to women. And I never taught it on the other side of, girls don't do this, especially to men, when I should really have just been teaching them.
Don't hit anyone.
Yeah. Don't hit people,
Mm-hmm.
Don't do these things. And I was really, the balance was getting really off in my house, because I was really teaching my son all of these, sort of antiquated notions around how men should take care of women.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't teaching it to go both ways.
Well, some of the things, though, I don't know that it would be, if there's a gentleman carrying something heavy, I'm going to run ahead and open the door for him.
Yeah.
If,
I would do that.
if I'm walking in and a gentleman is walking in behind me, I'll hold the door open. Now, I'm not going to walk up to the door and open it for him.
See, I would do that.
But see, I believe a gentleman should do that. I mean, in my household, we take it to the point with my stepsons, my son, and my guy. If we're going out somewhere, we go and we walk up to a restaurant and they're right with me, I'll step aside and let them open the door, and then I'll go in.
Oh, see, now I'm a fast walker anyway. If I get there, well, but my notion, and I kind of feel like some of that for me is the little bit of Southern upbringing that I had. I spent the most of my years in the South, and it's very much, like you hold the door for a lady, but there's two levels. These are the things you do for a lady. These are the things you do if you're a gentleman. But there's also, these are the things you do to respect your elders. So all of the rules that apply to guys taking care of girls are the same rules that apply to young people taking care of old people.
Yes, and that's how I was raised as well.
Yeah, so my first notion is always to sort of defer to chivalry. So if I'm coming in and my husband and my kids are coming in, I usually, if I'm first, I open the door and I usher everybody in. Like, the funniest thing is we've taught our kids to do this, and now it's turned into this horrible thing of like, you go to the movie theater and the movie gets out. And so my daughter's first and she's holding the door, and we're like halfway through the parking lot and we look back and there's like 80 people coming out and she's just holding the door for everybody. And it's super sweet, but at the same time you're like, honey, we're trying to go.
We need to go. You hold it just for the person behind you.
That man can get the door. So it kind of gets to an extreme.
Well, what about, there are things too, like if a man and a woman are walking down the street, etiquette dictates that the man stands on the outside part where the traffic is, and the woman stands on the inside.
See, I love that. I do too. My husband doesn't do it, but I love it.
See, my guy does, and that's part of it, and that's what I would raise my sons to do. You should,
but it's still super. I mean,
no, I don't think there's anything wrong. No, but Twila, it's raising them with the point of view that you should protect. You're a protector as a man. It doesn't mean the woman is incapable of protecting herself. It means he's showing, I'm protecting you. And let's flip it around. And here's why I don't have any issue with that whatsoever.
Okay.
When we're home, I'm cooking. My guy cooks as well, but I do the vast majority of it. I do the vast majority of the in the house stuff. He does the outside stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm making these kids breakfast. I'm serving it to them. We're all cleaning up. So for them to, when we're out, step outside to stand in traffic for me, and these are little kids too, they still do it.
Yeah.
Is, I think, really sweet. And it's a way that they can show respect. It's another way they can show respect.
Okay.
Especially to a female who does a lot. Twila, we are taking care of the men in our lives all the time. Let them open the door. Let them stand nearest the street.
Oh, no,
Let them carry stuff in.
I do. I just feel conflicted about it.
But it doesn't mean that you can't. There are many things that we are completely capable of doing, them as well. It's out of care. It's out of that kindness. We can all do these things on our own. And I believe it maintains a level of order, and it's nice. I like it. I like that feeling of being taken care of. I like that feeling of being protected by a man.
Okay, but where does that go? When do we get too far into the line of that feeling of protection?
I think the difference is when you're either you may be manipulative about it, or you actually cannot take care of yourself. I have seen relationships where the man does everything. I'm talking the primary breadwinner doing the majority of the household chores, and the wife and mom really doesn't do too much.
Right.
That's a complete imbalance. There should be your partners. You should be working on these things together. I think that's where I think you can take it to the level of acting like you're incapable so someone else does it and does it for you.
Right.
But in truth, you really are that incapable of, maybe you went straight from, mom and dad's to, with a husband where you were never independent. You never had to take care of yourself.
Yeah, that you see, now I can see that. I think I always worry that in my quest to want things to be equal, because I genuinely and truly want things to be equal. I at least want us to be able to have the same playing field to make the choices that
exactly.
We're going to
but
make.
That's the difference, Twila. It's equal in terms of opportunity. It doesn't mean we should, they shouldn't hold the door open for us. We are still, there's a respect. It's think about it in terms of, it might sound weird, but almost ritualistic. There are rituals there in religion. There's ways that you show worship and respect for the God that you believe in.
Yep.
There are ways that we show respect to the men in our lives it might be through actions. It might be through what we say, the way we build our men up, the way that we want to speak to them with, confidence. Same thing we do with our children.
See, now you have now hit exactly probably the nail on the head of why I have trouble subscribing to this. Really and truly, I am probably the least ritualistic person that there is.
That's interesting.
I mean, you know, like the most ritualistic thing I have done surrounding being a married person is that I took my husband's last name because it was cooler than mine. I didn't even take it because it was tradition. I took it because it was an upgrade up the alphabet, and I really thought it was a cool name. So I was like, I'm going to be one of you guys.
Yeah.
But I don't do anything else ritualistic around that in particular in regards to our relationship. I don't wear a wedding ring. I've been married for almost 17 years.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't. Neither of us wear wedding rings.
Mm-hmm.
We did not have a formal wedding. We got married by the justice of the peace because it was a simpler solution than all the other crap that we were going to go through.
Sure.
At different points, we entertained taking my mother-in-law's maiden name as our name because my husband just wasn't dedicated. He didn't care about having his name. We even entertained he totally told me, like, maybe not even a week after we got engaged, if you want to keep your name, it's fine.
Yeah, because
he knows I don't have brothers. So he was like, if you want to keep your name to keep your line going, that's fine. I'm okay with it. Like he was as okay with it as I was, and we've always been super traditional sort of in that, we've never really subscribed to rituals in that way.
Yeah.
So I can totally see that. And even how our relationship has always balanced itself out. We were always, people laugh at me, but before we got married, everything was 50-50 to the penny.
I know.
So
we kept a spreadsheet.
We did. Yeah. We did. So if we were paying for things, it was 50-50. When we saved our money we were making a big move out east so he could go to school. We got the same part-time job with the same hours so we could have the same amount of money to contribute to the savings that we were going to do. That's really
hardcore. I mean, I'm with you on the non-traditional. I mean, my guy and I are not even married. It is our plan to spend the rest of our lives together, but we don't want to get married. So it's not traditional in that sense.
Can I say I can't wait till you guys are like 70 and decide to get married all the time. You're gonna be so cute. We're gonna get these cute little old people wedding invitations that they're like, oh, we said screw it, we're gonna get married. Like after you've been together for like 30 years. I can't wait.
We're doing the Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell thing. For us, we don't see a need for us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are what sometimes, especially being that we're not married, sometimes people who know us, I'm surprised by how they're kind of surprised in how we run our household.
Because to be honest, you run your household very much like a traditional family runs a household.
Yeah, it's stereotypical in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. But but not in a bad way.
No, because it works for us.
Yeah, what I like is that everything that you guys do is something that you all, and you're very good about this, you will talk and discuss something.
Yes.
You like to have discussions and understandings and agreement about things. You don't like things to not be clear.
Yeah, no, we're very clear, and a lot of the decisions on roles in our household is based off who has more of a knack for it. With parenting, I'm the primary caregiver when we have his kids. He's there as well, but I'm coordinating schedules. I'm running that. I'm doing the majority of the cooking. I handle the groceries. At the same time, I don't work full time. He works full time. Part of that is because for our life and the way that we live our life, it works better to have me available to be that person for the kids, whether it's running them around when we have them,
right?
Taking care of the house.
But that was always something you guys discussed. Like I remember
Yes.
being very, I remember being very surprised and impressed at how well you just kind of sat down and negotiated that, because I had been married forever and we were in our house similarly. And we never actually discussed it. It just became like, it was just like, well, it makes no sense for you to go to work. I'll stay and do this. Like we stumbled into a lot of what we did with the kids, and it was like, okay, I guess this is going to work.
Yeah. But things on like, he does the laundry in our household. He does the majority of the laundry. I do towels and sheets because I suck at it, and he's in men's fashion and has expensive clothes, and he got tired of me ruining them.
Well, yeah. Well, listen, we both understand that we have men who like to dress well, and touching their clothes is not a good idea.
Yeah, so he does the laundry, and I love putting clothes in the laundry and getting them back clean. It's like magic, and I tell him
living
that's
at a hotel.
Yeah, that's how I said. That's how you must feel about how food and things appear in the refrigerator. It's just right. They let me know what they need, and
great.
then there, and there it is. But it is that. So it's our roles are somewhat in the traditional, history of men and women roles.
Okay,
but. Like you said, we discuss it. He does the laundry. He also cooks if there's any kind of grilling. Here's one I'll throw at you.
Okay.
When we go out, and it's been like this since the beginning. We've been together for about 4 years now. And from the beginning, I didn't tell him this up front, but after a while, when it became appropriate, I told him.
Mm-hmm.
And I've stuck to it. I never pay when we go out to eat.
Oh, no. We
never. Ever.
I mean, it's smart.
Ever.
It's
now,
smart.
I'll go get takeout from a restaurant and bring it home to us.
Yeah,
and I'll pay for
it.
it.
But when you're actually sitting down in a
when
formal
we are sitting
situation,
down, we are out to dinner. I do not pick up the check.
You know what? I take so much pride in being able to do that.
See,
like that is something that
it's not because I can't.
Yeah,
it's because for me
for you,
personally,
that's what you like.
No, and you know what? And I also look at it like this. And he's so great about this. We go out to brunch when we have the kids quite a bit, and it's wonderful. And part of why we do that is because they want to give me that time off because I'm the one who makes breakfast.
Yeah, you've been doing so
and
much.
I rock a breakfast. I make practically made to order breakfast.
You are so cute. My house is not Denny's. You do.
Yeah. But that's where it stops.
Yeah.
They have to make their own lunch, and then, then we work out dinner. I make it or Tony makes it. Mm-hmm. But, it's that for me, that's just something I feel strongly about. And I don't know if I've ever told you this. I think I have. I have a collection of vintage and antique etiquette books.
Yes.
And
I remember that.
Fascinated. Then some of them are from the late 1800s. And it'll talk about it. One gave an example of if you were out, and keep in mind, this was the late 1800s.
Right.
You were out to dinner with a woman, and the check comes and something's wrong. You pay it, you walk her home, you go back to the restaurant, sort it out.
That's Southern, because they tell you that, yeah, that's a Southern thing we learned too.
See, I love that.
You never argue about stuff in front of your company.
You never do something. This is in the etiquette books, even leading up through the 1950s. The gentleman never does something that would in any way embarrass a woman.
Right.
Even if you're engaged and you call it off as the man, you tell everyone she called it off.
And then she keeps the ring.
Yeah. Well, that's just common sense.
Point of order.
But I love that.
I totally get that. And I believe in all of the etiquette and manners. Like I worked in a bed and breakfast, so I like the extra, like from the table settings to like how you conduct yourself to how you serve food and things were all things I had learned. And we're all things that I'm working on with my kids now, like from chewing your mouth with your mouth closed at the table to how you sit at a table. Like my kids have always been able to eat out at restaurants. That was a really important thing to me, that they could conduct themselves well
and not with a tablet necessarily.
But
actually sit and dine
and
with
and have dialogue with people. But but what's funny to me is I've always taken so much pride in being able to sort of be independent and to take care of things in the same way that any person I'm with could take care of things.
But let me ask you this, Twila. If your husband takes care of it, or when you were engaged or dating, he went to pay for the bill, does it bother you? Does it make you feel like it's because you can't, even though you know you can?
No. I mean, there were points where it did bother me because I knew I couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, but now, like where we are now, like either one of us could take care of it. It's
Sure.
basically our money.
It is.
But,
it is. But
yeah,
there's something nice about having a gentleman take care of it.
Well, and
even from the taking of the bill to the physically having to handle it. I'm coming to dine. I want an experience.
Well, you know what? I'll say that when we go on, like the way we operate in vacation mode, my husband likes to plan vacations. He's very, he is not easy to relax and let go of being in the mode of working. So he takes very little time off. So when he takes it off, the rest of us kind of step back and go, okay, Daddy's planning a trip.
Let him plan it.
Yeah, let him do it. Let's structure this so that Dad is the most relaxed it can be so he can enjoy himself. And so that means like we plan it to a science. We choose the activities. He chooses, for the most part, he chooses the restaurants we want to go into. He takes input, but he plans this thing out like he's the travel agent.
So how does that work then when you go out with your kids and your husband? You don't still do this 50-50 because you guys are married now and it's all one pot.
Yeah, no, we do sidebar. My mama always taught me one very specific lesson. I'm 43 this year. My parents will have been married 45 years this year. And my mother has never worked outside of the home except with only a few exceptions. She's disabled. She told me very early on in my engaged life that you need to have his money, your money, like our house money, and your own money. Sure. That should always be the case. And so I've always maintained, and my husband has always maintained, like the checking accounts we had as single people. And then we have joint accounts and joint other, things that are our money. Yeah. And we've always contributed how we could and the best we could. So there are different points. There have been like imbalances when the years I wasn't working, but it was always understood that that's our money. There's not going to be any tit for tat. Like I put in 52%, you put in 49%. That's our money. We use that to live our life. Yeah. And, I have my little money over here that, comes in and if I'm buying those shoes, it's coming out of my money, not the house money. If he's buying his new Adidas, it's coming out of his money, not the house money. So when we go on trips like that, almost everything goes on a credit card because we're the people that want to get all the points. So we use one credit card and it's got like 20,000 points at the end of the trip on it. But like if we go out we just had we just did a birthday, we did Father's Day's coming up and we've done other occasions where we just wanted to do something nice for Dad. When we go on trips like that, I almost always make sure to take one dinner. Yeah. And just personally pay for it. Just as a way of saying, thank you. You put all this effort into, you got the tickets and you got the hotel and you did the research and we had a great day and, we're kind of exhausted and this is a nice meal and nice meals for 5 people is not cheap. So, the bill comes in. I always make sure to have like a little of my own cash or my own card on reserve. Yeah. And I'll put that meal on the card and, just, when the bill comes out, even when we say we're ready for the bill, sometimes I'll motion for it and be like, point to me, bring it to me. Yeah. And I'll pay it. And my husband, he always says the same thing we always said. We've always taught each other, everybody says thank you. You acknowledge the person that took care of it. And which is, to me, it's super important. But I always try to at least do that a little bit because he does a lot. And I'm sure he appreciates that. Just even the that you thought about it, that you're thinking about it. Yeah, I'm sure I overthink it sometimes. Yeah. But I know, I admit it. Yeah, and I paid for a whole vacation that we went on. I'm not saying he pays for everything, but on that vacation, every time we ate, I don't go into a dining establishment and pay. But but that's okay to have that, to know that that's your boundary and that for whatever reason that's important to you. Because my husband, like I said, I've pointed out before, he's Asian, and in Asian culture, guys like to be taken care of a very specific way, and they have mothers that take care of them in a very, very specific way. And so you have to learn, one of the dances we had to learn how to do early on was, how do I take care of you to an extent that is comfortable enough that you're okay with this, but is never going to be to that level. I'm going to tell the story and I'm going to get in trouble. I don't care. The first time I met my mother-in-law and at her home, she was a super gracious host. I love this woman. She's been through everything. She is an absolute survivor. She's a fighter. I love her. But we were maybe 20. Yeah. And my husband said out of nowhere, I'm hungry, Mom. And she said, oh, okay. So I'm thinking she's going to get up and she's going to cook dinner or something. I proceed to watch her go in the kitchen, take out all this fruit, and literally cut it into bite-sized pizzas, put it in a bowl, get these little cute skewer things out, and then bring him the bowl. And it took her a half an hour. Yeah. And I was like, so what now? And I was like, oh, we can't get married. Like, I can't.
See, the funny thing though is I'm sitting here going, and I'm not getting where the problem is.
Right. And
but I'm also, I have an Asian background.
Right.
Yeah.
In my wildest, like when I tell my mother I'm hungry, you know what my mother says?
Mm-hmm.
Your legs work, the kitchen is that way. So that would be, and I used to get in trouble with him early on in our relationship. Like we would tussle over stuff like that because he would just want to be
it's
cared
cultural.
for. Yeah, he would just want to be cared for. If he was asking because he wanted me to do something for him.
Sure.
And I would crack a joke because in my culture that's what we do.
Yeah.
And and we had to come to it. Like I had to even learn the cues of, when you're asking me this way, you mean you need to be cared for, right? Like you want that care.
But don't you think so? But him wanting that care and getting that care is kind of his love language.
Yes.
So him being taken care of. And in a way, it's almost the damsel in distress thing that we're talking about.
Yeah, except for guys.
Except for guys. They do it as well. And I get
and
that.
I hate all of it. I'm just going to say
Well,
it. I find it all to be antiquated.
Yeah, see, and I absolutely love it. But I love taking care of my man. He doesn't, what's so great is he never takes it for granted. And I think that is the key.
That's cute.
If you're someone like myself, where I love the art of taking care of a man, and I love a man who understands the art of taking care of a woman.
Okay. I'm just going to say right now, again, we should probably stop putting these ideas out here so people don't steal them from us, but that should be the name of your second book.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. Yeah.
I love it. And he'll say, oh, I'm kind of getting hungry. And I'll say, well, can I make you a sandwich?
Okay, that is adorable, because when my man says, are you getting hungry? I will be like, where are we going for dinner? You want pizza? I'll go pick it up.
But he never, and we have a joke actually at night. Sometimes he'll get hungry later at night. And after a certain point, after a little couple happy time, he always wants to eat. And he knows, and he'll go, oh, can you make me a sandwich? And I always say, no.
Well,
Mama got what she wants.
Yeah, I've done my work for the evening.
Yeah, I'm like,
kitchen is closed.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not making it. But it's the only time. At the same time, if I'm in the middle of something, or obviously, he's capable of taking care of himself. But I like to take care of him. He likes to take care of me. We just take care of each other in different ways.
Yeah, you know what? I'm more, and I get that. I totally, like you're saying it that way. I get that. I am not the person to take care of you in the physical sense.
So, like, I hope, I don't get some horrible illness and you're the person in charge.
Yeah, you're in trouble. No, you know what? I'm good at, and I don't mean to make it seem like it's not at all what I do in my life. I am the emotional caretaker. So my job, and the way that I sort of express that, is I'm always trying to make sure that I'm where you are, where your headspace is at. Like, yeah. I am constantly, like, I read your cues. I read your body language. When my husband comes in and I can tell he's had like a 12-hour day of office, stuff with patients and stuff. Yeah. I can see that coming from a mile away. I can even tell it from the tone of a text he sends me.
Is there a way that you take care of him to help that transition from work to into the home life?
Yeah, I wrangle those kids up real quick.
Yeah,
I'm like, but that's the kind of stuff I do.
That's
like,
taking care of him.
Yeah, it was so funny. We just had like a family talk yesterday about like how summer will transition better with children. Yes. Being at home all day, and it was like, do yourselves a favor. When Dad comes home, Dad's been gone like for 8 hours, 10 hours. He's had a long day. When he walks in the door, all he wants to see are shining faces, not faces stuck in tablets. So I said, when you hear I said, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. You don't have to follow it, but it'll make your day and Dad's day better. When you hear the garage door open, go put those away for 20 minutes. Not all night, not the rest of the night. 20 minutes. Give Dad your full attention. Yeah. When he comes in, he says, hi, guys. Greet him. Go say hi. Go hang out with your dad. I said, he won't even really want you underfoot all night. Trust me. Yeah. Nobody wants you guys all underfoot all night.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Right. But, but give him that, like, you need that transitional decompressing time. Like,
exactly.
Like, sometimes my husband just wants to come home and, like, cuddle up with the kids for, like, 10 minutes because he just hasn't seen them all day.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing I'm always constantly aware of. Like, I'm the intuitive one that was like, I couldn't understand when my kindergartner was break down into tears every day when I picked her up. Like, and be like, well, what's wrong with your day? What's wrong? Why are you having a bad day? And I'd be like, how's your day? And it'd just be tears. And finally it occurred to me, she's starving. Yeah. she ate lunch at 11 because little kids eat lunch way earlier than everybody else. And then she ran all afternoon. She had activities. And by the time you see them at 3, they can't take it. So I learned the lesson. I keep granola bars in the console. When I see her, the only thing I say is, hey, and give him a hug. Put him in the car, hand him
Yeah.
some food, and don't talk until we get to the garage at home.
Yeah, so
Let
you
that
know
dri-
how to take care of her.
I'm super intuitive in that way, but it's all for me. It's all like emotional intuitive.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not my first reaction to think, let me make you a sandwich.
No,
I just don't.
No, but it's not. You're giving him what he needs, emotionally in that moment when he comes home, whether it's being with the kids or needing a few minutes before they go charging at him.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean he's incapable.
No.
So it's no different than with women and again, our question was, are we damsels in distress?
Yes.
When
No.
we need or want to be taken care of that way, it doesn't make us any less capable. I think that we have been hit to a degree there, the misunderstanding with feminism. It's not about doing everything a man can do. It's about having the opportunity and the equal opportunity, the equal pay to be able to do it.
Right. It's about, for me, it seems like it's always about, I always say the same thing. Feminism for me is the opportunity to make the same choices that you get to make.
Exactly.
That's what I don't necessarily, I don't necessarily want to fight in combat, on the front line.
Yeah.
But if there is a woman who wants to do that, she should have the same choice to do it.
Exactly.
As the men that are getting to do it. Yeah. That's where it's always, and that's even when we're having this discussion right now. What I love is that you like to take care of your man. So
I do.
That's a choice you get.
Yeah, it's a choice for me.
Right. I like not waiting on my man hand and foot.
But that's the great thing.
Choice.
But my kind of added question to you was, is it because it threatens your independence or because you just don't enjoy it? Because either one would be, they're a little different.
You know what? I would even say I don't think I ever developed the ability to enjoy it because it wasn't really ever something that was done.
Yeah.
So it's probably something I'm not used to. And I will say at points it has, in the transition of dealing with different cultures,
Yeah.
there is a level of threat of independence that you try to guard against.
Sure.
And I'll be, and in full disclosure, especially for us, it's a little loaded because
Yeah.
I never intended to have two things happen in my life. I never intended to be married and I never intended to have children. So those two things were definitely large scale, like
big changes.
Yeah, you have to confront like a life philosophy you had for yourself and you're now putting it aside.
Yeah.
So in putting it aside and really taking that on and saying, I'm going to take these two roles on, it became even more important that I maintained as much Twila as possible.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. And again, and you and I have talked about this. My mom always loved to say that the man is the head of the household, but a smart woman is the neck.
I love that. I've always loved the way you say that.
And she knows how to turn the head.
Yeah.
So it's not about being subservient. It's not about being, whatever if you can sit down with your partner and talk about it and come to the conclusion of what your roles are and be comfortable. It took my guy a long time to get used to the idea that me taking care of him was something I actually wanted to do.
Oh, you know what? And
he
I'll
almost
say that.
couldn't accept it.
I remember that. I remember when you guys really first started dating
Yeah.
that at every turn he was resistant to he was always checking in with you and making sure that he wasn't asking you to do something you didn't want to do or is this okay? Or,
yeah, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I'm like, no, it took him a long time.
And I always loved it because when you would say that, I would be like, that's right, he should ask you because you should be doing that for him. Y'all not married. I used to always be like super feisty feminist in the corner, like Natalie, I don't want you getting taken advantage of.
That's right.
I mean, I met him a couple times. He was all right. But you don't need to be doing that. And then you finally really explain, as you guys got further along, no, this is good. This works for us.
Is good. This works. I'm like that.
And then I used to tell you, don't tell my husband.
No, I have many girlfriends who tell me, don't you start talking about what you do for Tony when you're around my husband.
Yeah, because then all of a sudden it's like, why don't you do that? Know why I don't do it.
I love it. I thrive in it. And there's so many things that he does also for me that takes care of me. And so we're happy to do those things for each other. I always say it's whatever works for you in your household and with your partner.
Well, and I think a lot of that key, even this idea of, are we damsels in distress is the idea of, are we communicative about what we need and what we don't need?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll be perfectly honest. I studied psychology at school. In college, it only makes me interesting to talk to at parties. And my husband is a health professional, and they're the worst about talking about anything. So a lot of our agreements are like,
because you fell into it.
Yeah, they're backdoor understandings of okay, you don't want to fight about this one? Okay, I fight about this one. A favorite saying in our household is this the hill you want to die on?
Yeah.
So it's like, Are we really going to fight about the mats in the van today? No, like, I don't care about that. Like, that's not. And
I know, which is so funny because in my house, we're not arguing, but having discussions about, well, no, I want to do this for you, but no, I want to do this for you. Oh my God.
And then we have to go, "I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying that it might work if we do it this way." Well, you don't get to say that this is how we're going to, like, it's a constant, like that. I think that was the funniest part about turning 40 is when I decided I wanted more peace in my life than argument. And we're both alphas and we both like to argue. So I think my husband thought I had like an aneurysm. He's like, "What? Wait, you're not arguing?" And I'm like, "I don't really care about that." Is that how you want it? I told him he missed his window. At 40, he probably could have got me to do all this stuff.
That's right.
Because I was so like zen about turning 40 that I was just like, you could have said, 40-year-old women in the prime of their selves, like, cook all the meals. I'd have been like, yeah, we do.
Yeah. Do all the cleaning.
Yeah, like he could have totally got me because I was on a
and then wear lingerie
zen.
to bed.
Yeah, I was in a full zen place. I was seeing and honestly, that's kind of like, and I will just, before we wrap up this discussion, that's exactly where I wind up when we talk equality.
Yeah.
That is where we wind up. That is where I'm the most like, are we equal? Are we naked? Are we equal? Are you getting yours? Am I getting mine? Are we good? Are we good? And I think that there's an imbalance that happens in the bedroom in particular that can inform all of the rest of the imbalance in your life. Like if you. So
you're saying if you can be equal in the bedroom, you can be equal outside of the bedroom.
Yeah, like if you both feel like if you can be communicative there, if you can make sure that everybody's happy and satisfied and getting what they want, and it's open, and it actually does sort of help balance out the rest of everything else.
No, that makes sense. Can you imagine? I mean, my guy and I are always trying to do things for each other outside of the bedroom. You can only guess what it's like inside the bedroom.
Exactly. So I can very honestly say that it's an equal partnership.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a lot of stuff we don't fight about because we're both equally getting what we want.
When you're both, and that's really what it comes down to. Are you both having your needs fulfilled in a way that you feel good about it? And you want to naturally do things for your partner when they are doing things for you.
Yeah, and honestly, if that's balanced out there, you don't necessarily, like, the things you do argue about outside of there aren't things that you focus on as much. Like,
because it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, you do have to have a generous, like, I have a generous sense of humor about it, and so does my husband. We both are very sarcastic.
That makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, because you gotta laugh about it, because there's stuff that to this day I still don't do. Like, he asked me the other day, why, like, we're having this debate about mowing the lawn again. And it was like, well, you don't do it. And I was like, yeah, I sure don't. And he was like, well, we were debating about whether we teach both of our kids to do it, like the boy and the girl, because our boy does it, our girl doesn't right now. And I was like, no, she needs to do it. He goes, well, you don't do it. I go, but I have the stretch marks.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. Like, that's the trump card. Sorry.
Let me lay down the stretch mark card.
Yeah, like, that's just how we're going to play it. So, I mean, yeah, I was like, this is not about gender equality right now. This is solely about bow down. The queen says everybody's mowing the lawn, which is, but that's really just like, so you have to have that level of humor to go along with it. Because a lot of the stuff, even some of these rituals are slightly absurd, but we adhere to them and we enjoy them to an extent. But if you're going to, you have to have a sense of togetherness in it, no matter what happens.
Yeah, it always boils down to intention.
It doesn't, though.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that means we need to figure out if we answer the question. Are we secretly damsels in distress?
And I'm sticking with my original answer, which was there's no secret about it. At times, I am, and I like it.
I am not. I am a stubborn feminist. I'm sticking with my story and I'm sticking to it. Okay, as always, we want to hear from you. You guys have to let us know what you think. Are you secretly damsels in distress? Do you think we're insane? What do you think about sort of these rituals that we have all sort of agreed as a society to adhere to? Let us know. Go to the Facebook page. We are at Matriarch Digital Media. If you go to the send message option, just click on that button. You can send us an email. Tag Twila and Natalie in it. I'm sure people will know when you're talking about the two crazy women women that we're talking about this subject. But just to be on the safe side, let them know you're talking about us. And don't forget, give us your questions. Give us your dilemmas. Let us know things that you want us to talk about and things that you want some help and guidance on. We're happy to do that as well. So I think that worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, you can
Nailed it.
You can go make your man a sandwich now.
I am. I'm going to stop to pick up some Fabulous. I'm going to make him one of his favorite dishes tonight.
You're very sweet. I'm going to go pretend like I didn't have time to cook so somebody will take me out to dinner. We'll see you guys next time.